Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is your host Majestic speaking, and today we're going to be looking into some more MechWarrior Online here. And as promised, I said once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll be doing another video on a Majestic series build. So that is exactly what I'm going to be doing for you guys today. But first, before we get into the video here, I just wanted to thank you guys so much again for supporting the channel up to 1,000 subscribers and beyond. You know, and not only for that matter, but for actually supporting this series in particular. I know this is only the second one that I've done, but I was looking back on the first one, and that one's near 4,000 views already. And, you know, to see that much, you know, attention being put on the builds that I personally like to take, the subjective builds that are completely catered to my playstyle and just fit into how I like to run my mechs personally. They're not meta builds. It's not necessarily new gameplay. You know, it's not anything that's out there that's ridiculous or crazy or trial or anything like that. These are the builds that I invest the most amount of time, the most hours, and I get the best results out of. And these are just personal builds that I preferentially like. You guys put in the comment section, I would run it this way, I do it that way, and that's great. I love the sense of community where you guys are discussing different builds, but this is what works for me and my play style. I'm a skirmish brawler. That's just what it comes down to. So, these are the mechs that I take out there that I am super confident in, that if I'm having bad matches, I take one of these guys out and I turn my night right back around. So, for today, I just want to thank you guys again so much for not only supporting the channel, but this series in particular. It means a ton that it's picked up so much steam. So thank you guys again, but let's dive into the video here. This is the Ebon Jaguar A variant, and this is purely a truly bred A variant. It doesn't have any omnipods or anything on there. For a different variant, this has the A left and right arms and the A left and right torso. So essentially I just took it, stock what it was, and placed what my loadout was on it, what I wanted to do with it. And I'll go through the stock loadout in a little bit, but this is what I did with it. I have 6 clan ER mediums, 2 in each arm, and then 2 in the left torso. And then I had a ballistic hard point. I have 3 in total, 2 in each arm, or 1 in each arm, and then 1 in the right torso. But the ones in the arms are kind of lower mounts, and I wasn't really too keen on using them. So I figured, you know what? If I'm going to utilize this ballistic hard point to its fullest, I'm going to place that in my right torso. And you can even see, based off the mounts of where the other ballistic hard points were, it's kind of below your cockpit, so you would need to expose the mech a little bit more. But having it in that right torso, it is above the cockpit, so, I get to peer over things, peer over obstacles and make sure that I'm landing those shots at a distance. And the reason why I set it up this way is because not only do I provide short to mid-range support with the ER mediums, but, I can also provide range support, cover fire if I even want to. And, not only provide that range support, but, I can even send a message to, some scouts that are looking around in the area like, hey, you might be trying to be scouting right now. But I can see you. so here's a Gauss rifle round to the head, alright? So, I'll just leave it at that. But that's, this thing provides full range support, whether it's short, mid, or long distance range. It's more built for the mid-range, the Gauss rifle and the mediums. They do optimal damage from a middle range perspective, but, especially with the module that I placed on it, which you'll see in a minute. But this is what I wanted to cater to. So not only is this thing catering specifically to my playstyle completely, but the Gauss rifle definitely packs an extra punch. And this is one of the mechs that, when it first came out, I used to practice. To practice with, I invested so much time in perfecting this thing exactly to my standards. And between between all the omnipods and all the other variants that you can get for the Ebon Jag, you could really work on any kind of weapon group with this thing. It has missiles, ballistics, energy hardpoints, you name it, and you can fit it to whatever you want. It has the tonnage that you can really try and mess with some things. So 65 tons is nothing to mess around with. I utilized 65 out of 65 tons, 76 out of 78 slots, 403 out of 422 armor hard points. So I only took 1 point out of the head, and then I took 9 out of each leg. And the reason why I took 9 out of each leg is because, well, first I needed to fit the loadout the way that I wanted to make it. You know, and then on the other hand, for heavies and assault mechs, the legs are the least targeted component on the mech. So I was like, if I'm going to take off armor anywhere, I'm definitely going to do it from the legs. And especially when you look at the actual build itself, this, you know, the Ebjag has a very, you know, a lower center of gravity comparative to a lot of its heavy counterparts. So I figured, you know what, like, not only do they not shoot at it, but, you know, it's pretty difficult to hit as is. So I'm going to take, you know, any armor out of that, this section of the mech, and make sure that I can fully arm, you know, the torsos and the arms, because that's where everyone does like to shoot. They like to take off your torsos first, and you know, make sure that you don't have any weaponry and stuff like that. So that is the reason why the mech is outfitted the way it is. As you can see, I have even more armor in my left and right torso than I do in my legs. And that's, you know, it's only 9 points that I took off each leg, but that makes a difference. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I outfitted it the way that I did. But in moving forward with this mech and the rest of its loadout, it has a 57-point alpha when you fire off all the 6 of these lasers and the Gauss rifle. That is a lot of damage to be doing with the mech, you know, especially a 65-ton heavy. You know, that's getting pretty close to, you know, assault level alphas. So that was the standpoint that I came from with this mech, and especially for my style of play, I love to unload an alpha. You know, I know chain firing and everything keeps you more heat management, this, that, and the other thing. I like to get in your face, and if you get in my face, I'm gonna win that trade. I'm gonna all over your cockpit, and you're gonna, you know, run. That's the intention, okay? So, and since I love to alpha, that leads me into my next point on this mech. It has a 1.22 heat management ratio, so it is very heat efficient in that sense. It meets my threshold minimum of 1.2. And it has 21 double heat sinks, so the heat dissipation is incredible as well. So I can alpha 2, maybe 3 times, and you know, I do have a cool shot. I'll tell you that ahead of time as my module that one of the consumable modules that I placed on it. But you know, so this thing not only has great heat management, it has a fantastic alpha, and the heat dissipation is absolutely phenomenal on it as well. So, in its entirety, this mech is essentially my gameplay, or my play style, wrapped up in 65 tons. I mean, just like the Mad Dog, you know, that you know, catering to different types of mechs and so forth, based off their loadouts and their, you know, their tonnage and the weapon groups that are available. You know, this mech, I can't stress enough how, I mean, it is very subjective, so it is just my personal flavor on this mech, but I can't stress enough how much time I've placed into this mech. And out of all the variants, this is the pure breed variant that has given me the best results. Statistically, I've done the most damage, gotten the most kills, and the most experience out of using this variant in particular, and I didn't have to change anything out. I just mixed up the, you know, I obviously messed with the weapons, but, you know, this is a completely mastered mech. It goes 87 kph. It's a heavy. It's a clan heavy going 87 kph. That's pretty quick. So I have a lot of faith and confidence when I'm using this mech out there on the battlefield. It is completely mastered, as I said. You know, so I'll just show you the skill tree. This shows you the stock loadout on it, which I believe that's either a UAC 10 or a UAC 20 that comes with it from the store, if you just get it from the store. And then 6 energy hard points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that they utilized. You know, there are, you know, different. I'm not sure which energy weapons they placed in the stock. I forget which ones they are, but yeah, it does have 6 energy hard points being utilized. Again, the UAC 10, 20, whatever they placed up there, and then 2 machine guns. So, you know, it has 3 ballistics. I'm only utilizing 1. It does have a couple other, let's see, I'll just go to the overview real quick so you can see what this thing does have. Yeah, 3 ballistic, 7 energy, so I'm using 6 out of the 7 energy hardpoints and 1 out of the 3 ballistic hardpoints. 3 rounds of ammo. No, this thing really does, I can't stress enough how much, you know, how intimidating it is, especially when you got a pilot that's super confident in the mech that they're using, and I am very, very confident when I use this mech. Between the burn duration, my alpha being 57, people back up. This crits components on mechs in an instant. So, definitely take that into account if you guys decide to build this. If you decide to build this one exactly the way that it is, I'll take that as a compliment. I don't mind that at all. But I also like to see the variations that you guys come up with if you do have this mech, so please feel free to leave that in the comment section below and let myself or the rest of the community put their take on it as well. But in any case, let's move on to the modules real quick so that we can get into the gameplay. Advanced Seismic Sensor allows me to detect mechs up to 250 meters in range via vibrations in the ground. I did 2 mech and 2 weapon modules, so the other mech module that I placed on there is Target Info Gathering, reduces the amount of time it takes for me to gather information on my opponent by 25%. And then the 2 weapon modules that I placed on there are Gauss Rifle Range, level 5, so that increases the range by 10%, and then the ER Medium Laser Range, level 5, which also increases that range by 10%. The reason why I didn't use, and I only have 2 weapon groups on here, the Medium Laser and Gauss Rifle. So it's either cooldown or range. Those are the module options that you get. And the reason why I didn't put cooldown in either of those is because on the ER mediums, cooling them down when this mech, you don't want to keep cooling the mediums down, especially when you're using an alpha of 6 medium lasers at one time. It will heat up quicker than it needs to be. And, I perfected it from the sense of making sure that I maintain decent heat management, making sure that I can constantly use that alpha without burning up or meeting that heat threshold. So, I decided to stay away from the clan, ER medium cooldown, and that was all just to make sure that I maintain that heat management perspective. And as for the reason why I didn't use the Gauss Rifle cooldown is because the Gauss Rifle and the medium lasers, they sync up nearly seamlessly. So I didn't want to mess up with the timing, because if I do an alpha, I don't want one firing and the other not, and then, going in different bits and pieces and this, that, and the other thing. I decided, I'm going to stick to the range, and I'll just utilize the mech modules even more. Consumables, Cool Shot 9x9 and the improved airstrike. Obviously, I'm not going to use the Cool Shot 6 just because, it really doesn't dissipate that much heat. Where, if I'm going to overheat, I'm going to overheat. It's not like a 6 is really going to save me. But the 9, if I hit and get close to that threshold, it definitely dissipates a ton, as you know, pretty quickly. So that is my build on this thing. I invested so much time and C-bills into making sure this thing was outfitted completely to the T with all the bells and whistles. As for the camo, it's just my own colors on from the channel with the polygon camo paint scheme on there. I've had it like this since I got it, essentially, so I don't really want to change it from that. It looks kind of clowny, but at the same time, it's people know when I'm using this thing because I have been using it a lot. But last thing I'll go through is the camo spec. Camo spec cockpit is the Clan Smoke Jaguar banner, the Clan Smoke Jag Warhorn, and Clan Smoke Jaguar medallion. I love Clan Smoke Jaguar, if you can't tell. So let's drop into the queue here. 1 round of gameplay, hopefully. And one thing I want you guys to understand, the pug queue, there's a lot of things that come into play to make sure that you at least get a decent round. You have to hope that A, you have a good team, B, you have a coordinated team, and 3, you have to worry about performing well yourself. So there's a lot of factors that come into play. So if you do ever get into a rut where you're really struggling to bounce back and get some wins under your belt and get on a coordinated team, it happens to everyone. So don't get discouraged. Just keep putting yourself back out there, messing around with builds, and figuring out what works best for your style. So the other thing that I did want to mention real quick while we are waiting here in the queue is, in case you aren't familiar with the first video that I did on this series, I want you to just, as a reminder for those of you who have seen that video, the entire round of gameplay that I'm going to be going through is going to be without any commentary from me. For this series in particular, I like to make sure that the gameplay speaks for itself. I don't want my words or anything to be any of a distraction. I want you guys to be dissecting the tactics and the maneuverability, the decisions that are being made as is, without me interfering from any standpoint with commentary. So, and that's great that we got Canyon Network, because that does give me the mid to short range approach and the distance, you know, especially from the beginning. So hopefully we can get a good round of gameplay in here, but again, just so you know, I will be going silent for the duration of the round. We're only doing one round of gameplay with this series, and I usually pick it up after the round is over, and I just go back over like the tactics and, you know, exactly what I did and what my thought process was during the course of the match. So Canyon Network is a great map. I really do love this map a lot, to be completely honest. So hopefully this round works out in our favor, and as I said, I will pick it up with you guys as soon as the round is over.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal. Target acquired. Target acquired. Airstrike online. New target acquired. Heat level critical. Heat level critical. Target destroyed. Heat level critical. Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired. Incoming missile. Airstrike online. Warning, incoming missile. Center torso critical damage. New target acquired. New target acquired. New target acquired. Airstrike online. Heat level critical. Target destroyed. Target acquired. New target acquired. Target destroyed. New target acquired. Heat level critical. Heat level critical. Target destroyed. Target acquired. New target acquired. Heat level critical. Gauss ammo at 25%. Warning, incoming missile.
Your left, on your left. There it is.
Heat level critical. Warning, incoming missile. Override engaged. Warning, incoming missile. Heat level critical.
And that is why I love to use this Ebon Jaguar. I may have died, but I think the damage, the most damage dealt, everything in particular, speaks for itself. And 1,000 damage is no joke. I mean, if you look back on it, that's almost double what anyone else was putting out there. And, yes, does it stink I died? Yeah, but overall, we won. So, I critted that Locust where, they might have gotten an upper hand on our Marauder had, I not, legged that Locust. So, it really does kind of, you play a part. And with this kind of mech, I knew that, that's the kind of game that I'm looking for with this thing. It's just so devastating to take out there on the battlefield. And with 1,000 damage, I think it speaks for itself. Yeah, it sucks that I overheated. I kind of went into last ditch effort. I knew I had a crit CT as it was, so I was just trying to get as much damage in there as I possibly could before I did overheat. The Stormcrow wound up wiping me out. I was one hit away from killing that Locust and stuff like that. But that I set up the Marauder to the point where he was able to do that without me having to even be a part of the battle. He handled it pretty easily. He took out that Locust in one alpha, and then he took out the Stormcrow in another alpha. So in all, this was a fantastic round, and I hope you guys can appreciate the build that I brought out for you guys today. Again, this is the Ebon Jaguar A variant, a true A variant. No Omnipods from any other variant are being used here. But, definitely an awesome mech to take out there on the battlefield with this loadout in particular. Canyon Network is a hot map, so, I'm not surprised that I was nearing that heat threshold a little bit more than I'm, used to. But all in all, it was I had a ton of fun using it, and I hope you guys appreciated it as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning in on this episode of MechWarrior Online for the Majestic series build. If you haven't already, please become royal and subscribe to the channel today. Leave a comment or a like in the comment section below. And yeah, I really do look forward to seeing you on the next one. One last thing. Is I'm going to be setting up a constant stream time. So I think I'm going to be aiming more for either a Friday or a Saturday, but I will be doing a constant stream. It's probably going to be like an hour to 2 hours, something like that, where I'm just going to be doing drops with you guys as the subscribers, whether it's with this game or one of the other games that I feature on the channel, or we could just do walkthroughs and I'll just be streaming in general, so you guys can check out some of the stuff that I'm playing around with. But in any case, that's all the stuff that I have for you for now. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. I will be coming out with more content this week, a couple of trial builds, and then I'm also going to go through some fan request builds as well. So definitely stay tuned, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, guys.